It's been a tough season for most of the drivers so far, and it's getting closer to its end. But for now, we have one of the bigger events other than the Area 500 here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Getting to see these guys take it out here on a mile and a half, which is what has been majority of the schedule this season, and it's been fierce and competitive near the top of the order. My name is Finney Nakuna here with Hunter Sleppy and Eric Wineland. Guys, glad to have you with me as always, as we're here for this fine event.
Indeed, we are. We're back on the Charlotte Oval. Don't mind the Roval stuff in the picture there. Got a little technical difficulties there on Kyle's end. Not sure if he'll be with us tonight, but I know that we'll be back on the Oval. 140 laps, Eric. Going to be a fun one as we cap off the final Area Cup Series event of 2023.
Yeah, we're finally getting back to a mile-and-a-half racetrack. Hunter and Finian. It's been a little bit since we've been at one of these. I have to go all the way. I mean, I'm never counting Atlanta in amongst the mile-and-a-halves anymore after the package change. So go all the way back to October 30th. It's race number 3 of the season when we went to Las Vegas, and that was won by none other than Jake Matheson, who went on a 2-race win streak there at Las Vegas and Phoenix. Can he do the same here at Charlotte? Well, it's not the Roval, so we'll see what happens, but I'm looking forward to what he and others can provide here at the Oval, Finian.
Yeah, indeed, looking to see what they can provide here at the Oval. Got a couple of drivers already in for qualifying. Garrett Grant, Edward Sherry Jr., and Jeremy Miller have already put down their times. We got Michael Curry now in the number 24 Ford Mustang out there ripping around the top side of the track, getting ready for his flying lap.
Yeah, Kearns really had a strong past few races to close out the Cup Series for 2023. Had a very good finish on the Charlotte Roval with 5th. Got 2nd at Dover. Then even in Phoenix, he had a 3rd place finish. So 3 top 5s in the last 4 Cup races for Michael Curran. Looking to carry that momentum into 2024, but got to qualify tonight for the final Cup race of 2023, Eric, in the turn 3.
And coming flying off of turn 4, almost up against the wall, but for the number 24, across the line for him. And he will end up in provisional pole position, yeah.
Apologies, forgot to press a button there. So nice and tidy. Remember, only 1 lap of qualifying since this track is over a mile long for these guys. Already 4 minutes have ticked off the board. We see Bryce Senesac. We pick him up here on a flying lap into turn 3. Good first sector time. I believe Garrett Grant, or Edward Sherr Jr., just went toward the top of the board. Bryce Senesac, 174, 104 is a pretty decent lap. P4 on the board for the 09 machine.
P4 for him. Jake Matheson out there on the track in the 56. Guys, he's been the one to watch all season. He's been one of the strongest competitors out there. And I think going to be definitely one of the fan favorites, if not one of the favorites, to win this race here tonight.
Absolutely. Looking at it in the current point standings right now, 8 points behind Jake Nichols for that top spot in the driver's standings. And he's also had a very good start to the season. 4 top 5s in 6 races with 2 poor finishes. Stemming from Daytona 31st and 34th on the Atlanta Oval, which really, if you think about it, those are kind of the super speedway races. Other than that, he's 1 at a mile and a half back in Las Vegas, 1 at the Dogleg in Phoenix, and then 3rd at Dover and 2nd on the Roval. And he hasn't qualified worse than 13th this year, so I would expect the 56 to qualify inside the top 10 or maybe on the pole position.
He's already got himself a pretty solid qualifying effort in up to 2nd. Ricky Springer in the 51 going to start his lap. Tyler Nichols in the 41 just gone up to 3rd fastest.
He's my dark horse pick tonight, Finian, is the 41. He runs a lot of Carb Cup, and that uses the Cup cars at a couple different racetracks, Charlotte being one, Charlotte Oval. I'm expecting some big things out of the 41 tonight, and Solar Flare needs it tonight. Only 2 drivers able to make the race. Thinking about Dwayne Culberson and the situation he's in. Hopefully it gets better for him, but he's thrust into something he doesn't want to be thrust into. So,
and Ricky Springer, solid time for him, up to pole position at the moment. Gonna put Michael Curran and Matheson back another spot for each of them. So he's now the man to beat. Ryan Hart's in the number 3 is going out there seeing if he can try to knock Ricky Springer off the top of these standings.
Yeah, Ricky Springer moved up 6 positions in points after last week at the Roval. That's the 3 of Hart's there. Top. Cortez to the top as Hartz completes a lap around Charlotte. He actually missed last week's race at the Charlotte Roval, but he's had 2 top 10 finishes in the last 3 starts, and coming across the stripe, what will it be for the 3?
Brian Hart's up to 6th position for him in OKF. We're going to be putting him around midfield. Jake Nichols, I thought I saw him coming across the line. Or no, he's not. He's just getting out there. In the 73 machine, trying to look, I just saw Connor Horn was wanting to take a look at him. The number 42 is up to P8.
Alex Cummings and Jacob Bell and Jake Nichols among those taking times. Now we see David Weishart coming off of turn number 4 for his timed lap. Going to be pretty solid lap from the 33. Go to P3. The 29.942. Only, what is that now? 7 drivers, Hunter, have gone sub 30 seconds, and I expect this guy right here to do it as well.
If there's anyone that could get it in sub 30 seconds, it is the 73 of Jake Nichols, as he's getting back to his hot streak of area cup wins. He won back at Dover, finished 3rd on the Roval. Only 1 finish outside the top 10. That was 37th from the Atlanta Oval. And Jake Nichols across the stripe, going to put down a 4th quickest time on the board. So not quite pole position or front row, but nonetheless still inside the top 5 with a 29.93.
That's about where he was in practice too, Finian. He and his brother TK were top 5 in practice as well. Blaze McKinney just turns a nice lap, 29.933, puts him 5th on the board.
Looking at Cedric Hunter, he goes up to only 15th, but there's Blaze McKinney, who just set a solid time up in the top 5, like Eric mentioned. Looking at some more guys, looks like Justin Yanosugek, he tried to put out a lap, couldn't get it done. Same thing with Travis Beckner, wasn't able to get a clean lap in.
It's going to be tough. Go ahead, Eric.
I was to say, I didn't think the car was that loose. From my little bit of testing, we see James Scioli give it a little slide, getting up to speed as well. And whoa, okay, I stand corrected. Spencer Burns is wrecking.
Big wreck for him. He's going to slide down. And I was going to say for Travis Beckner, might have been not that he got loose, might have been that he hit the wall coming off the corner, was playing a little bit too close with the edges of track limits, I guess, if you will, with the wall. There's Douglas Newbigin catching a piece, but he's on a warm-up lap. He's going to start his flying lap this time by.
See what the driver of the 71 machine can do.
Keeping it nice and tight in turn 1. Up, you're saying?
Hunter, you want to take a guess at Doug's iRating right now?
I'm going to guess it's 5509.
Hey, that timing page I must have sent you is working. Pretty good guess. Douglas Newbigin is a Road to Pro participant, so he's getting himself prepped for that season upcoming. Generally, we'll start sometime around March for the first leg of those that want to try to go up the eNASCAR ladder. Pretty solid time there from Newbigin, P6 on the board, Finian.
Yeah, I mean, he's going up the timing ladder, if anything else, up to 6. Justin Bonneret, he put in a lap up to 11th for him. James Scioli, the number 7, waiting till the last couple seconds to get a time in.
4th for Bondurant.
Yeah, 4th quickest. That's a pretty good lap there for Bondurant with a... Oh, I just lost it on the thing, and I can't scroll up on the timing and scoring, but there's a 7 of Scioli. He's pretty quick. We'll see what he can do. P3.
Who in just in the nick of time as qualifying is over. Really waited to the last second for him.
Yeah, how about that? I don't even know if we paid attention to Okrezik, but he just snagged the pole away with a pretty flyer lap time. I think it was a 29.8, Eric.
So in sim 29.875 for the 14 car. So he did snag pole at the death of it. The funny thing is, as you can see there in the background, the sun is currently setting in sim, Finian. So the track just keeps getting cooler as time goes on. So I'm not surprised that the guys that saved their runs for the death of qualifying ended up toward the top.
Yeah, and I think that's why, and even I was wondering it as well, because we went 4 minutes into qualifying and barely anyone put down a time, and I had a feeling that was because they were all waiting for the last moment to strike here. And as we're in the warm-up period here, just want to remind everyone, race fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. As a subscriber, it's cut up on my screen. You'll have Area iRacing emotes that you can use in the chat. You'll also be able to earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise, all at the price of just $5 a month. That's the Area iRacing Twitch channel. And I also want to mention our starting grid sponsor, Roasted Gems Coffee. Race fans, start your engines with a fresh cup of Roasted Gems Coffee. Choose from some of the finest coffee beans from Colombia and Peru, or try the blended flavors of French vanilla and hazelnut. Use discount code Area iRacing for 10% off your order at checkout at roastedgems.com.
Hunter, you should be able to scroll that page now.
There we go. Oh yeah, much better. We get down to about 8th at the top, and I'd scroll up, and it's just glitching out. But yeah, I can scroll back up now. Gonna be pretty fun one here tonight, Finian and Eric. 140 laps here on the 1.5-mile Charlotte Oval, and the Charlotte version that people, I think, will have more enjoyable time tonight than last week on the Roval.
Oh, I'm sure they do. I know there were many drivers last week just waiting to get out of that race. Drivers slipping back throughout the order. Though I will say quite a few drivers, especially some of the drivers near the front, I'm sure they had quite a bit of time. If anything, I imagine they're pretty tired because we saw some great battles up near the front of the field, and they lasted for several laps on in. I think at least with tonight, these guys have a little bit more chance to breathe.
Yeah, a little
more in the comfort zone, the wheelhouse, not having to turn right. Hopefully not near as much as they were just last week. And this is the final race, Hunter, before the Christmas break that we're getting. I know we got something special planned over that break as well. I think you have some more info on that.
Yeah, I got some more info on that. Area iRacing is hosting their 3rd ever charity event, and they'll be at the dirt track over by Charlotte Motor Speedway. So the Charlotte dirt track, you don't see it in the shot there, but it'll be pro late models running the Charlotte dirt track in the cause for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Actually, you can see it on the far right of your screen, but
barely a shot.
More info on that later on, but it is taking place January 4th, so it's the first Thursday of the new year.
There we go. Definitely be sure to watch that event. But going down to the grid here, we got the starting lineup here, starting on pole. Connor Okrezik in the number 14 just narrowly swept that away. I didn't even see him jump to the top of the standings, but just took it away from Vincent Cortez, the number 32, also looking pretty quick tonight. Going to be rolling off in P2.
In P3, it's the 7 car of James Scioli, and right beside him is going to be the 51 of Ricky Springer, starting in 4th.
Moving on back to 5th place is going to be Justin Bondurant in the number 11. Next to him, Jake Nichols in the number 73, rolling off in 6th.
And row 4, you're going to have Doug Newbigging starting P7 and Blaze McKinney P8, who missed last week's race at the Roval.
Moving on back to 9th, going to be David Weishart in the 33 on the inside. Next to him, Michael Curran in the 24, rolling off in 10th.
Jake Matheson P11 in row number 6, and then alongside him, Matthew Bell in the 9 to roll off P12.
Moving on back to 13th, Ryan Hart's in the number 3 is going to roll off in the inside lane. Next to him, Jacob Bell in 14th in the 77.
Nathan Jump starting 15th in the 4, number 29, and then alongside him, Eric's dark horse, TK, Tyler Nichols, going to roll off P16.
Back in 17th is going to be Connor Horn in the number 42. Next to him, Ray Slate in the number 8, starting in 18th.
19th place will be Cedric Hunter, the Canadian native, and alongside him is Garrett Grant, the Indiana native, rolling off P20.
Moving on back to 21st, Edward Shearer Jr. in the number 17 car. Next to him, Bryce Senizak in 22nd in the 09.
Jeremy Miller, P23 for the number 30, and another bow tie alongside him. Ben Pearson, 65, will roll off 24th.
Moving on back to 25th, can be Skylar Shackelford in the number 88 machine. Next to him, Cameron Hearn in the 4 in 26th.
All New Jersey natives in this row with Dom DeLeo, 27th, and Ed Robertson, 28th.
Moving on back to 29, it's going to be Alex Cummings in the 63. Next to him, Kwame Scott, starting all the way back in the number 99 in 30th.
And a little far way to go for Travis Beckner, 31st, and Spencer Burns, 32nd.
Moving on back to 33rd, it's going to be Casey Lakatos in the 50, Justin Asogak in the 67 in 34th, and Blake Hopp in the 35th position in the 23 car. All right, guys, got the grid ready to go. Pick me who you think is going to win this race.
I'm going to have first pick. I'll go with the 56 of Jake Matheson.
Ooh, so you're gonna be. I'm not on pole. I didn't qualify that well this week. Let's pick. Oh, you took Jake Matheson. I'm gonna pick Ryan Hartz out of this. He needs a good finish. I think he can get it done here at Charlotte.
Man, we didn't even pick a single driver in the top 10. Well, I'm going to take one. I'm going to go with the number 7 of James Scioli, sitting solidly there in third place as the rest of the field is going to make their way on down. Here we go to get green. 140 laps on the clock for tonight, and they're off and away, and we are green here at Charlotte. Field making their way off of turn 4, a drag race for the top spot between Connor Okrezik, James Scioli, as they both race off side by side into turn 1.
Scioli wasting no time trying to take the lead away from Okrezik right away, but behind him 3 wide with Vincent Cortez in the middle. Going to be tight rolling off turn 2, but they're trying to single file up, going down the back into 3.
These guys have been 3 wide from row 7 on back since the drop of the green flag. They're finally getting it sorted out down the backstretch there. Still a little tight there with Jake Nichols. Got the squeeze from David Weishart. Who's that? Blaze McKinney was outside in the 87.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm amazed that Nichols didn't get taken out. There was a very tight pickle for these drivers to work through, riding on board with the 24 Michael Curran. It's sorted out just a little bit, but you can see up ahead these guys still jockeying for position side by side. And as you look off the back, you can still see these guys bunched up almost as if they're pacing.
This is a good old mile-and-a-half package that we got for the next-gen cars here, and iRacing for the Area Cup Series, and Curran trying to make the climb inside the top 10, battling with Ryan Hartz there. A little further up the road, here comes Scioli, peak and low to the inside. Not going to have enough room there to make the move. And a little further back, Doug Newbigging and then the Cortez fighting for that 5th spot. There comes the 7 to the inside for the lead in turn 3.
It's going to make the move work. He will get on by and just get that spot. And Ricky Springer as well going to nail his way on by.
Yeah, I'm impressed those two just drove by on the bottom. Hunter brings up a good... I mean, I didn't bring up the good point, but you made me think of something, Hunter. It's a good old mile-and-a-half package. Well, the iRacing update did change one thing, and that was track surface parameters on oval side. Part of the oval refresh that's going on here on iRacing. Track surface is supposedly a little bit better, a little more temperature sensitive. As these guys run in the bottom, you would think that there would be more grip and moving up the racetrack. The downside is temperature is falling, which just makes that bottom line that much stronger as we go throughout the night. Keep an eye on that. As we see Michael Curhan trying to make a move on Rafe Slate, we ride on board with David Weishart.
Yeah, so you can look at David Weishart. You're talking about looking for grip, with these guys experimenting with that oval refresh. Supposed to make multi-groove racing just that much better. And we see David Weishart already starting to search for a grip up near the top. It's going to get past 56 of Jake Matheson. Now going to try to get past Jake Nichols here as they're both side by side.
Going to roll that middle lane in 3 and 4 past the 73 of Nichols, and now looking to get along the outside of Doug Newbigging as he's falling down to the 7th spot. Vincent Cortez down to 6th, but the 33 of Weishart trying to make that outside lane work in the early stages.
I talked to Jake Nichols pre-race, guys, and he said the top can work. And even after the changes in the latest build that happened now 2 weeks ago, that as long as you don't slide the tires very much, you won't cook them, you'll keep them underneath you, you can make that top side work. See what the 73 does here, because he just ran the middle in that last corner. Seeing what David's doing, he's trying to emulate what's going on. Jake Matheson sees what David's doing, he's going even higher.
Yeah, and Jake Matheson going to rip the top line. Whoa, Michael Curran, I think, almost getting to the wall there for just a second. Going to tap it. He's going to get his car sorted out. But most of the field running, for the most part, single file. And I think part of that's also these guys just trying to tick off some laps. But you can already see some of these guys experimenting with grip. And again, one of those guys really making it work. David Weishart up to going to almost break the top 3. Fighting is going to break inside the top 4 at the very least as he works past McKinney. And Justin Botterant in the number 11 going to also just try to look in the middle, find some sort of grip.
Bondurant down to the 6th position, but yeah, you were right on there, Finian. The 33 of Weishardt's making that outside lane work. You saw the 73 of Nichols try to replicate that as he's running the 2nd groove, trying to get the 3rd groove going, but the 33 looking for 3rd, going to take it on the outside of a Prezik, going to have that spot now as his eyes set on Ricky Springer heading into turn 1.
Saw Skylar Shackelford have a moment in the background there, that orange car that darted into the bottom. Out of turn 2 last time around. The only thing I don't like here, Finian, David's gotten to the front very fast, and that concerns me that he's maybe he's beating up his tires a little too much early on here, that he won't have enough on the back end. We'll have to see what happens. They're just now completing the 10th lap of the race. So we got a long way to go. Fuel window here, by the way, guys, since it doesn't look like I'm going to do as much of my normal pit reporting tonight. 57 to 63 laps is what's reported. I've heard guys can go longer than that if they aren't shifting. I've heard it can be shorter if they are shifting, and that's something else we'll talk about tonight. We'll see what they do on the longer run in terms of dropping it down to 4th gear to get through the corners.
Yeah, again, we really got to see how these guys are going to pace themselves because, again, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Guys have quite a bit of ways of laps on the clock to go as they're only on lap 10 of 140. And like we're talking about, going to have to watch what happens to David Weishardt in this run, and that's one reason I got to keep an eye on the number 32. Clearly has some speed, qualified in 2nd, but dropped back to 8th at the moment. Is Vincent Cortez hiding anything, Hunter?
It could be conserving the tires a little bit. Not surprising if that is the case, because the 73, Jake Nichols, he is the man that is the master of saving the tires, and looks like he's starting to push the envelope a little bit, passing Bondurant for 6th place, and then up front, Weishart now finally to the outside of Springer. He hasn't made that easy. And now they'll be side by side heading into turn 1. And right behind him, he's bringing Blaze McKinney machine. So 33 and the 87 on the outside, trying to get the run going.
Trying to get the run going there. You see Skyway snaking down the back straightaway, trying to break up the slipstream a little bit. Ooh, and almost making door-to-door contact with Blaze McKinney off the corner, Eric.
A little bobble there from the 87. I'm not sure he felt like his exit was pinched. He's getting real tight there to side draft the 33 back, and Davis just going to run up the track, try to build the momentum here off of turn 2. It looks like he's going to have the run. Can he get clear is the question. Can't quite tell from our onboard shot here as we ride on board with the, I believe this is the 51. Yeah, the 51 of Ricky Springer. Jake Nichols to his outside.
Jake Nichols is outside, and now Blaze McKinney under attack. Now 14 Connor Kresick trying to get on by as Springer sits in behind here. A lot of stack up, a big amount of stack up near the front of the field. They kind of expanded out quite a bit. Now they're feeling confident. 3 wide for a second. Blaze McKinney trying to get to the outside of that 14.
Yeah, meanwhile, the 7 of Scioli is encouraging this to continue because he's driving away from it. 4 car lengths now between the 7 and now 2nd place car as it's a side-by-side battle with Weishart on the bottom. Actually, on the outside to the bottom is McKinney, but on his bumper, here comes the 73 of Jake Nichols.
What a move around the top side there for the 73. He literally drove up and pushed David Weishart down the front straight. Look at this. He's going to go to the middle.
Going to try to look to the middle. Can't quite get there as McKinney's blocking that bottom lane. There you see Vincent Cortez in the background. He's going to make it 3 wide as he's fighting for position. 4 wide for a second with the 14 of a Kresick. The 71 of Newbegin in the wall a little bit. He'll hang on. Oop, there's a bit of a flash. That's not going to help anything at all. They somehow make their way on through. And here comes Jake Matheson trying to fight for position as well.
That's the 32 that's having a connection issue there. That is not good, Hunter.
He made that 4 wide issue, and it's having problems on his internet. His internet can't grasp what he just tried to do, and he made it work. We're riding on board now with the Ada Slade, who's right behind this chaos here, just outside the top 10. They're still 3 wide, trying to push an envelope 4 wide. Going a little further up. Here comes Hartz with a nice run off the corner to the bumper of Matheson, who's cracked the top 10.
That's not our shot. Matthew Bell just gave Michael Curran a shot into turn 3. Ran right into the back of him and pushed him up into the battle ahead. See that red car in front of Michael Curran as well, Finian, that I'm keeping my eye on. He hasn't run always too well since the tire model changed from V6 to V7. Way back during, when we got the new car from Gen 6 to Gen 7. Garrett Grant working his way up the field here.
Yeah, I was going to say, I really feel like iRacing's stopped counting the tire model after a while because there have been so many updates to it.
We joined on pit road by Kyle Hire.
Yeah, hi guys. It's been quite the evening so far, that's for sure. Got my technical issue sorted, so if we get a caution flag in the next couple of laps, we'll switch things back over to Homeland production here in Chicago. But don't know what broke, but I fixed it. So
I was going to say, that's all that matters.
Anyway, I think generally what happened is ATVO, our graphics software, didn't used to care where you placed it on screen, so you could shift it off screen. And then when I undid the shift and put it on screen, it started working again. So I just basically moved it onto another monitor over my OBS output that I just use as a dumping ground monitor. So it's fine now. But
oh, that's tight.
Anyway, 3 wide in the background there, guys.
Yeah, it's been intense up here. I don't know if you saw, we were 4 wide about a couple laps ago. That would have been a perfect time for caution, but they somehow sorted it out. Although they still keep getting bunched together in these big groups. But one thing's for sure, passing, pretty doable. And actually, one driver who we saw pass quite a bit is now, I think, starting to drop back. And Eric, you called this a little bit earlier, might have been pushing a little too hard.
He just used too much tire. He used too much feel good on them good years. It felt good for the first half of the race, but 10 laps later, and David Weishart is falling like a rock, especially on the top side here. That's tight with Douglas Dubig and Garrett Grant to his inside. It's just, he used it up, and he's paying the price now, Finian. He's going to go straight backward, and Vincent Cortez looks to get inside here, and Blaze McKinney may come up the middle again.
Yeah, I think with Vincent Cortez, we're seeing that he's got a lot of speed, and you saw him darting around there on the front straightaway out of turn 4. He's trying to find some sort of way to get on by this 3-wide battle, but now he's stuck 3 wide on the bottom, but he's feeling more confident in that tire. He's going to rip around the bottom, get his way on through. Garrett Grant now going to be stuck battling side by side with Weishart.
Know how the mighty have fallen as both Weishart and McKinney now outside the top 10, just trying to suffice the wounds there as Weishart still ripping the top, but to no avail now. Garrett Grant passes him for 11th. Here comes the 9 of Bell, going to make the run for 13th, and McKinney hold on to 14th with Curran on the bottom.
Yeah, exciting stuff here. Side by side through 3 and 4. They're even still 3 wide in the background behind this. Look at that squeeze in the background out of turn 4, Finian.
Yeah, big squeeze there. It's Kwame Scott, who had a poor qualifying effort back in 31st. I'm not even sure if he put a qualifying time down, but he's up to 18th now, trying to work his way through the grid. And Connor Horn, he's actually lost a couple spots here in the number 42. Travis Beckner, though, has gained a couple spots after
They touched.
Yeah, I was going to say they touched a little bit off the corner. And they're going to touch more into turn 3. A hit check from the 28, pushing the 42 down to the apron.
I'm not going to be too friendly on the radio. I may just sneak myself out here under our next commercial break. We'll get a look at our Sim Wrap Market replay right here. What happens on exit? I don't know. It doesn't look like Travis really ran down the track at all. It looks like Connor kind of ran up to side draft him, and once they made contact, it just turned Travis down the hill. Saved by both to hang on. Kwame Scott making a move on Blaze McKinney. Now he's the first car out of the line. As we look at James Scioli has driven away from Jake Nichols.
Yeah, this early in this race, you can hope that they got the self-preservation to realize that there's almost 120 laps left to go, but it doesn't decrease the urgency here, especially in the daytime here. As the race goes on, it's going to transition quite a bit. There's that big unknown with the dynamic track and how it's going to play into things here. Oh, it's very tight out of turn 2 in the background there, though. Still 3 abreast.
You saw Connor Kresley there get really loose as you go back to that action in the middle of the field here. That's a great battle in behind. Pretty much everyone outside of like the top 8 drivers or so, they're in this big group that have not been able to spread out.
Yeah, that includes Garrett Grant trying to hold on to 10th there with Doug Newbigging on the bottom. Matthew Bell right behind in 12th. Curran has moved up to 13th. A little further back, Weishart settled in 14th, but behind him, though, you got Cameron Hearn and Kwame Scott side by side for the 15th spot. As they're still getting squirrely, there's Horn 3 wide on the bottom, heading into turn 3. McKinney falling back once more.
Out of turn 4, working lap number 28 this time through. And I think what we're seeing is, despite the changes to the track in the last couple of days here, Finian, what we're seeing is kind of similar next-gen racing that we've always had here at Charlotte, where it's kind of packed up and just getting strung out is a challenge here. Everyone's drafting right back up to each other, and they're just having trouble getting their own space as there's a bobble out of 2.
I was going to say, I think Rafe Slade and Garrett Grant, not a whole lot of love lost between these two. I thought I saw the 8 have a hip check up in turn 1. We're going to see some payback here. A bit of a tap up into the 5 of Garrett Grant, going to push him wide off of turn 4. This can get ugly quick, guys.
Oh, Cameron Hearn and David Weishart come together just outside our shot. There's almost a wreck on the front straightaway. Rafe is not happy on the radio, I'm sure, and Garrett remembers. The memory doesn't go away for these race drivers, Hunter, and he'll keep that one in the bank even for later in the race.
Absolutely not. And there you see right there in the back, there was Hearn and Weishart touching, rubbing fenders through the quad oval. They somehow kept it straight.
Oh boy.
And they were 3 wide behind him. You got Connor Horn there with teammate Shackelford in the middle. Has to check up a lot, but the 42 on the move.
He hit Connor. That was netcode, but absolutely the way Skylar Shackelford just reacted, he definitely doored 42 on his end.
How long does this go on for? How long can you lean into each other before somebody loses patience here? Especially when you're kind of feeling invincible. We're not sliding around as much. We've got definitely some understeer, some tightness built into these cars. Is that going to make people more aggressive because they feel that they can hold their ground?
Oh, I definitely think so, especially if you feel your car is dialed in. You're going to try to move and muscle people out of the way. Speaking of which, here comes a 24 Michael Curran. I think he's trying to come back on a resurgence here after playing it safe the first 30 laps. And now trying to make his way up through the order. But he's pretty much boxed in. Not a whole lot of places for him to go.
Yeah, this is, oh, there goes Slate. Oh, my God. How did he not spin that car out? It looked like he was about to spin in the middle of the backstretch, but he kept it straight.
A last-second move to make a block. I don't know that I guess it wasn't as last second as I thought. It was a little more straightforward, but I guess that's what you want to do if it were a super speedway. Make sure you put yourself in front of the driver who's coming forward, and that driver is the 99 of Kwame Scott. Plus
Be
16.
aggressive. Be aggressive. They teach you that in middle school. And these guys take it to the grave here in Charlotte. Out of 2, Kwame Scott's going to give the a big shove. They get really tight to the wall. Connor Horn sneaks up into the outside lane. So does Newbegin. It is a fight for that upper groove right now, Finian in 3 and 4.
Really is. What I think Newbegin, in the wall or almost in the wall as they come flying in formation off of turn 4. See Edward Jr. almost in the AstroTurf there on the infield, and a bit of a hip check almost with the 29 as they're all just trying to find some sort of real estate on this track.
I mean, Connor Horn had a run straight out of hell. It looked like he was about to clip the fake grass
Newbegin in the
face. Wall. They're still trying to keep it straight. There's Spencer Burns of the 06 trying to stay out of harm's way. Going to get close to Horn's bumper in 3. Oh, my gosh. And Nathan Jump in the middle trying to drive away from it all.
I don't like the position Spencer Burns was in right there. He was washed in the dirty air of the diffuser from the 42. He has to lose momentum because of it and scrub more tire. Not a good situation there. Meanwhile, up the middle comes Nathan Jump, passing the handle. Oh, he bobbled there with 11 of Bondurant. This is
so tight out of turn 2. You can't slide paper between these two cars. This is wild here. And they just seem so comfortable right now, but because they're comfortable, that's where this aggression is coming from. Look at the Cedric Hunter machine still stuck in the middle like a fly on fly paper, just stuck either side. And even Rafe Slate's still middle 3 wide up here.
Yeah, this battle is not subsided at all further up the order. It's hard to keep track of so many old battles going on at the moment. A lot of first ones. There you see Garrett Grant up ahead with Matthew Bell. They're slamming doors with each other. Garrett Grant already annoyed with the number 8. Might be annoyed with the number 9 here in just a couple laps.
Working his way up and up almost into the 9 there. That's the battle for 7th on the racetrack. These guys are still going at it, and here comes Kwame Scott. Massive run off turn 4 and the 8 of Slate as well. The 17 of Shear Jr. on board with Scott as he looks to the outside of Grant in turn 1.
He is plus 21 from the start of the race. You see it there. Started 30th. Really shotgun on the field for the 99 of Kwame Scott. He's already in the top 10, working for the 8th position right now over Garrett Grant. Meanwhile, behind him is Cameron Hearn, Justin Bondurant, Nathan Jump battle is just wild, Kyle.
It's been electric here, and it's only, guys, we're on lap 36 of 140. That's insane. You can't keep this up all night. I don't care who you are or how good you are. At some point, someone's going to falter, make the slightest mistake, and everyone will go around. But again, I think as the run goes on, you're going to gain some flexibility with people wearing their stuff out just from being so aggressive on that right front tire.
Whoa,
particular, holy cow!
What a save. He made contact with Grant coming off turn 2 and almost sent him into the inside wall. He keeps it straight and inside the top 10.
He got a little tail whip from the 5, who might. If I had to take a guess from my experience, I cranked the wheel. Oh, TK is going through the infield right now. He's got punted to the turf. He hangs on.
Ooh,
Yes,
Jeremy
he
Miller
gets a little help from Jeremy Miller.
trying to find where he was as he's falling down the order. Take a look and see how he ended up in that situation off of turn 4.
A dark horse pick has a dark horse paint. Oh, 4 wide.
Oh, man. That's just billiards out of 4 there.
He is really lucky that's AstroTurf and not grass. Otherwise, I don't think we'll be able to see that. And Jeremy Miller, bit of a bump from behind.
Yeah, it was about the same thing that happened to Eric Grant and Kwame Scott on the backstretch there. They're all still straight, also green somehow. As now Kwame Scott's still inside the top 10 even after that move. He's actually around the 5 of Garrett Grant. Great car control there from the 99, and in front of him, great battle as well. Bell and Shearer Jr. going at it for 7th, as they're they're still side by side behind the 5 machine. Slayton Curran for 11th.
Garrett Grant is on the edge of control, guys. Like, so to finish my thought, like, you get tight up there near the wall, and you want to turn more to make sure you're not going to hit it. Then you get to the exit, and all of a sudden you're turning the wheel too much. You can't get yourself wound back out. You end up sliding down the racetrack because of it. I think that's what happened there to the 5 as he hip checked Kwame Scott. Meanwhile, James Scioli is enjoying this nice 1.1 second lead over now Jake Matheson in second. Vincent Cortez and Ricky Springer, Kyle, have closed the gap, though, on Jake Nichols ahead.
Yeah, I've been keeping my eye on those gaps up at the front there in particular. James Scioli hasn't really eked out very much further than he had at the drop of the green. 1.1 seconds. It's another second or so back to Nichols, but it's getting pretty tight behind that 73 for a battle. And little smoke flying from up the racetrack just ahead of Rafe Slate. That is, I think, the Bell and Beyond battle there down the back straightaway.
Yeah, keeping an eye on these guys. Well, the battles look like they're starting to settle out here finally at lap 40, I think, as the tires are starting to wear out for these guys, and we're going to see some guys maybe consider pit stops because that's not too far out.
So
Indeed, Eric.
I was going to say, if you split the race in thirds, 46, 47 laps on each stint, some guys said they can go longer than 63 laps on fuel, which not much longer, and you get to 70, which is the halfway point of this race. So I would not be surprised to see people try to stretch it here. I don't know that I would, but there isn't much fall off. So our fastest laps, we turned, well, I guess there is some fall off. Our fastest laps, we were just under 30 seconds, just like qualifying. 8.63, by Blaze McKinney is the fastest lap of the race. The leader last lap just ran the fastest lap on the racetrack, James Scioli, at a 31.13. So about a second, maybe a second and a half of fall off. I don't know if that necessitates a second pit stop, if you can stretch it.
Here's Connor Horn now having a look at Garrett Grant off into turn 3. Different lines here. And again, this is really everyone's, probably their first real opportunity in a big field to try out this multi-group stuff. I don't know that it really changes visually what is happening a lot, but I do think that it's going to change the comfort level of the car over the course of the run, especially in the daytime when the temperatures are fairly warm. But first of the takers onto pit lane, that's Cameron Hurd in the number 4.
I like this strategy. The first one I heard call it out on the radio, Kyle, David Weishart, who used up his tires, and we documented it. He went on a backward slide, Finian. Now he's going to get some 4 fresh feel goods and go back at it. I like the aggressiveness if he's going to have shorter stints like this. Jacob Bell got down a lap earlier than these guys returning to the racetrack now after making his service.
Going to see how the strategy plays out for those drivers as you come back to the action here, which is mellowed out significantly than it had since the start of this race, either from the drivers getting worn out or, if anything, the tires really, I think, the big thing, getting worn out. We saw that, like you mentioned, with David Weishart drop back to 23rd, 24th, I think, at the lowest, because he just pushed way too hard, way too early on. He's got some lingering battles near the back of the field. Got Tyler Nichols trying to make up after his off-road adventure onto the front straightaway. He gets past Ed Robertson for 25th place, but checking in back with the leaders. Look at the gap. That Scioli's got a second and a half to Matheson. Then he got Vince Cortez and Jake Nichols. Cortez, I think, getting past Nichols not too long ago. So he's up into third. And I mentioned keep an eye on him because he was saving his stuff, ran slow early on, and came back up to the top 3 now.
Indeed, making it work in the longer run, although going to have to see how that plays out when we go through green flag pit stops. We could have a caution before then, but most likely it seems like we'll have green flag pit stops before any of that happens as Connor Horn continues to battle inside the top 10 now.
You know, the one night I could have used an early yellow.
Yeah, right?
If anything's going to do this whole race. I got shiny new stuff.
Didn't you know?
I got shiny new stuff I want to use tonight, too, and I can't use it until I'm showing it, but I don't want to cut away from the action.
I mean, we could wait. We could try to cut off now because the action's dying out a little bit. As got some green flag pit stops as Matthew Bell comes down pit lane.
That's an aggressive pit road entry. I don't know that I would have turned down onto the apron that early if I were driving that race car, but he somehow makes it. Kyle, you're not the only one with issues tonight. Connor Okresic reports in our Discord that his iRacing exploded.
Yeah, I saw him. I saw him lose connection and drop down the order. I forgot to mention it because I didn't have time to mention it because everyone was 3 and 4 wide.
Our pole sitter
define
is not going to win the race.
So today I had my Toyota not start. I had NDI not work. Connor Kresic's computer exploded. Is it a full moon or what? What is happening today?
Might be. I mean, who knows? I can't check at the moment, but
the first nor'easter of the season.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
It apparently rained all day in North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
I can tell you, I had sleet here in Pennsylvania, which was not fun because it was snowing at the higher elevations and it was sleeting at the lower, more warm elevations. And oh man, it's been a crazy day up and down the East Coast. Meanwhile, Ryan Hart's going at it with Edward Scherer Jr. here. This is a battle for 6th.
I must have walked under a ladder or something, but this battle is pretty fierce here with the 3. But now you see drivers gravitating to the bottom when they're by themselves, Finian. We saw lots of side-by-side when they were grouped up, but now that we're single file, we're seeing a lot more bottom feeding. But how long is that going to last, especially in the daytime? Are we going to see a shift up the racetrack as that bottom line gets too hot?
yeah, I imagine we're going to see more and more guys search for grip, and especially for a lot of these guys near the front that were at the front at one point that shot off like a rocket. They ran a little bit too aggressively, might have to dial it back. Some guys might need to dial it up a little bit early on, but Jake Madison, one of the first of the top runners to come down to pit lane.
Dial up some pit stops for Miller Racing. Jake Matheson, Travis Beckner hitting pit road right here. Robertson and Bryce Senesac also going to join them a little further back. You see the service on the 28 machine, and in response, here comes the 7 of James Scioli, nice and tidy onto pit road. No black flags, looking pretty good for the 7 right now to continue to hold this lead.
Vince Cortez leading the race over Jake Nichols by about a half a second or so. Then Edward Scherer Jr., Hartz, Kwame Scott, as more and more drivers are coming on down. James Scioli, see down as well, though he's now just pulling to the box. Ricky Springer, Connor Horn, Ray Slate, Skylar Shackelford all coming in for their stops.
Things are going to get a little crazy here in the middle pack as well, Hunter, because now we've got guys on tires passing the guys that are choosing to run it long. I was watching Cameron Hearn kind of slice his way through the field earlier on in the 4 car. See more down pit road. We got the 17 of Edward Scherer Jr., my pick to win the race. Ryan Hartz, Hunter down as well.
Yeah, it's always going to get tough whenever it's in the middle of these cycles where guys still haven't pit, and then the guys that did pit, the closing rate is immense compared to everyone else, and it's like trying to put a needle in it, or trying to find a needle in a haystack, if you will, just trying to navigate their way around slower cars, especially if they're in a pack. Like you'll see right here, Jake, actually no, that's Jake Matheson, so he already pitted, he's good, but one of these lap cars, I don't know where that thought was going, but there are...
I can relate to that.
We have those days.
Kwame Scott's one of those lap cars.
Road.
You can see the pace differential, I think, is what Hunter was trying to go at here. You're going to see it right here.
He's not a lapper. He's still out here on his old tires.
That's very tight. Scioli shoots the gap there out of turn 4, and he's got a mission to complete, and he is not waiting around for anybody.
Yeah, it's Kwame Scott staying there quite a while. Yeah, there's still about 10 drivers that are yet to come into the pits. And Scott looks like he's going to take it for the long haul here as he gets past by Matheson again. They're all just on lapping cells, all the guys that came into pit. Next one up is the number 4. That's Cameron Hearn. Also trying to get on by. Woof, just sneaks his way down the inside.
So right now, looking at it, the top 10 have yet to pit. So everyone inside the top 10 has yet to pit. It would cycle out to Skyler, Matheson, and Hearn for the podium spot for the time being.
Oh, this is a big gaggle of cars. Hello.
So you see TK there in the 41. The black and gray car is one of those that has not made his stop yet. He's getting by, was that Alex Cummings there? Bless you, by the way. as we watch Michael Kerhan work his way down the back straightaway in the mix with all the cars that have pitted. Connor Horn and Ryan Hart's among them ahead of him as well. The next car they will catch is going to be Blake Hoppy in the 23. He's a little further up the road. I think he just crossed the line up there. So we got a little ways to go. Alex Cummings now coming down pit road, as well as Blake Hoppy. Excuse me. Blake is getting his stall right here.
Coming in pit lane for him, Cedric Hunter is still out there on the track. Cortez, Scott, Hunter, Nichols, DeLeo, Lakatos, McKinney, and Bonnarant, the rest of the drivers that have yet to pit, the top 8. And I'm wondering, are some of these guys, are they going to try to make it? Can they even make it a lap 70?
So if you save enough fuel, you can, Kyle. Also, to just touch up on one thing, Alex Cummings did not hit the road. He hit a connection problem.
Oh.
He has fallen out of the race, just like Connor O'Kresick. Yeah, Kyle, I was told 57 to 63, and also told that some guys might try to stretch it. I don't know if you can make it 70.
Yeah, 57 to 63. Let's assume the best case scenario gets you to 63. That's 7 laps worth of saving. I don't think that's impossible, but you would have needed to start that right from the drop of the green flag and make that your whole life's work to save that 7 laps of fuel. That's what, 10, 12 miles worth of fuel to save. So that's a lot, but I don't think it's impossible. Could someone do it? Sure. Is that the winning strategy? I don't think so. So we'll see if how many drivers actually fully commit to that, or if they're just hoping to catch a yellow with all the speed differentials here from those that have pit and those that have not.
Honestly, if we didn't get a yellow and you're 4 wide, I don't think we're going to be seeing a yellow, if not many yellows, for the rest of the night.
You better knock on wood after saying that. Also, I do think that there is a way they can save some fuel. It's not shifting. I don't know if you've rode on board with anyone, heard the shifting that's going on, but some are choosing to downshift over here, actually on both ends of the speedway, guys. And it gets you a better drive off, but you do consume more fuel doing so.
Found one, Jake Matson dropping it down to 4th. So Tyler Nichols, not Tyler Nichols, Jake Nichols keeping it in 5th gear now, rolling the corner.
Side note on the shifting, I didn't know this, but apparently at Martinsville, they didn't even have 5th and 6th gears in the cars, in the gear stack. They just ran them as 4 speeds, and they were...
There is no 6th gear.
Or, sorry, they didn't run 5th gear at Martinsville. Of course they didn't run 6, they didn't have one. Misspoke there. But, yeah, which I didn't know. They actually have a 4-speed configuration of this gearbox that they did run at Martinsville to hopefully cut down on the shifting. But again, if it's an advantage and you're not planning on trying to save that fuel all the way to the halfway point, absolutely use all the tools in your toolbox, and it is just one of many that drivers can use.
I like some of the discussion I've seen on social media about the rev limiter.
Ooh.
I'd love to see that thing go back up. Some were talking put it back up at 9,700. I'd love to see it
10K, baby.
I was saying I'd love to see it get back close to 10,000. Really rev out those gears.
Let's blow some stuff up again. Huh?
I assume that ECR engines and Roush Yates engines can withstand it. It used to be able to. Give me Rocket Man Ryan Newman turning these pole laps at insane screaming speeds around tracks like Atlanta and such.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges they had when they first went to the tapered spacer was that the engines were blowing up because they were so used to running at a constant RPM that the second they lifted out of the throttle, this is at Daytona and Talladega, when they were running hours and hours at the same RPM, as soon as they lifted off throttle, the engine would throw itself out of balance and explode because it wasn't used to changing RPM. That's an actual engineer story. So yeah, I mean, the engineers can build to the use case. So let's give them what they want.
It explains a lot. I always thought about watching. I've seen some videos where it's like the drivers never really pulled out of the throttle. They used to brake to slow themselves down so they didn't run over the guy in front of them. Braking at a super speedway just never sat right with me.
One driver who isn't braking but coasting is Kwame Scott. Right on board for him about a lap or two. Notice he was clutching into the corner. Cedric Hunter doesn't seem to be doing as much saving. So Kwame Scott, I think he's definitely trying to make it a lap 70. Cedric Hunter, I'm not sure if he's going to quite be able to make there, but both of these guys, Tyler Nichols, Don DeLeo, Casey Lakatos, and Blaze McKinney are hanging out there trying to see if they can save some more fuel.
I like this call. As a 3-time Cup Series winner in area, and all 3 came on fuel mileage, I like this call.
You're the expert.
If you want to see those races, go back and search Area iRacing on YouTube, and you'll find them all in Season 1. In the old Gen 6 car, I had that thing down to a science. But in the next gen, not quite as much. I also didn't run it. I decided to enjoy the truck series here in Area just as much.
How's Hunter doing over there?
I'm relaxing.
Yeah, this race
Choking
is
in the action.
for how chaotic the first 40 or 45 laps were. It's really mellowed out with those pit stop sequences, Finian. So, you know, I'm not really surprised to see that. I am curious now, though, if the changes to the surface are going to increase line choice later in this race, or if he'll be stuck bottom feeding and trying to carry as much momentum as possible.
Yeah, I think, well, the thing is, so many of these drivers are spread out at the moment, at least for the top few spots. A little bit more closer action further back here down the road. Travis Beckner getting by David Weishart. But a lot of these guys, they're just kind of working their way on through and then trying to manage their tires and also trying to, you know, set up for their final pit stop, because these guys need one more stop to make it to the end. It looks like Blaze McKinney, he's come down to pit lane, he's given up. Couldn't quite make it.
Looks like Cedric Hunter just peeled off as well. Kwame Scott was completely out of the throttle for most of 3 and 4. And the challenge is if you have to even pit entering lap 70, you haven't done enough, right? You need to get to lap 71 to make sure that you can make it to the end. And he's going to have to say it as aggressively the second stint as well.
Yeah, Nichols kind of got thrown into it with his drive through the infield as well, right? So got thrown to the back of the pack and decided to save the fuel. Things are getting a little. Things are getting a little cooler, Hunter, on the racetrack, but they're keeping the heat, South Beach heat, in the bottom line.
Indeed, the South Beach heat. I was going to say, you saw their in-car Finian as well. There's Tyler Nichols down pit road. Kwame's holding in that clutch, going all the way down to 2,000 RPM. And yeah, we're kind of at the halfway point. No cautions yet, but you mentioned it, Eric. It's the South Beach heat. So race fans, be sure to visit rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Try the Loxahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, or South Beach Heat. Follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see which driver take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings. And we've seen a couple Simrat Market replays tonight, so race fans, be sure to head on over to simratmarket.com. Custom iRacing paint scheme templates are simple to use and help you keep more focused on the racetrack as Kwame Scott's made his pit stop.
Yeah, he's on pit lane, and this is what I was talking about. He pit coming to lap 70, so that's a lap short if he were to do the exact same stint again the second half of the race. So that doesn't make things any easier, Finian. He's still got a lot of work ahead of him if he wants for the strategy to work out.
Oh, definitely has a lot of work ahead of him. He's going to save even more in the next run because he came lap 69 coming to lap 70. So, yeah, definitely not the best run for him potentially. We'll see what happens. I think he's going to be hoping for a caution or something to settle things out here. But James Scally, after the sequence finally wraps itself up, we have him resuming the lead here with Jake Matheson still in hot pursuit, about half a second in behind.
And there is Matheson, yeah, half second back. There's Cedric Hunter in the 13 with fresher tires. He's going to go around the leader. Now it's just half a second separating Scally and Matheson from the lead. And kind of deja vu if you go back to last week where we had the same two drivers fighting it out for the win on the Charlotte Roval, although Matheson couldn't quite gather it up at the last stint of that, and Scally was able to hold on to the win. But could see these guys go at it side by side for the win once more at the same track in back-to-back weeks.
We're going to step away for a brief moment, and we'll come back to you with the second half of this race. Race 7 of the Area Cup Series from Charlotte returns in a moment. And back live from Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Area Cup Series, race 7 of the season. Welcome back to Sim TV as we make our way on lap 75 of 140. Action has been hot so far. Eric Wineland's got an update down from the pit lane. What you got?
Hey, so Kwame Scott is going to try to make it to the end of the race, as well as Tyler Nichols, who was a lap earlier. I might try it, but Kwame Scott's the only one that I think is on his strategy that can try to get there, guys. But I'm liking what you were talking about earlier. The two-stop strategy might be the play. And if so, James Scioli still holding a 3/4 of a second lead over Jake Matheson. That gap has not changed over the last 15 laps we've watched it. If anything, maybe shrunk by a tenth here and there. So keep your eye on this. Number 7. I'm thinking he is the front runner right now. Plenty of action in the pack, though, guys.
It's working our way down here, looking at Jake Matheson, James Scioli leading the way. This gap has come down a bit, 0.7 of a second. So let's keep our eyes on these guys as well, because this battle for the lead could get interesting before we get to lap 100 or so.
It definitely can get pretty interesting here because these guys have been fighting tooth and nail for majority of this race. Not really exchanging a whole lot of blows, but they've been trying to catch up here and there, and Matheson's been trying his best to make some inroads, but is losing just a little bit of ground at the moment, but very much the target within his sights.
Yeah, 30.9 that last time for Scioli, 31.0 for the 56. We'll see what it is when they're coming across the stripe this time by. But the 7 and 56 once again are the talk of the town, running away with the first 2 spots. Then 5 seconds back, we got the 73 Jake Nichols holding off the 51 of Ricky Springer as we're on board with Matheson trying to work his way back into the lead.
Watching Jake at work here. Looks so comfortable behind the wheel, and that's one thing I love about jumping on board with these drivers is getting a better idea and better perspective of how comfortable they are at work. Some drivers are a lot more expressive. Some they just take it very literally, and they just get down and hunker down and attack, and that's what Matheson's doing right now. 0.8 back. Last time by, just a hair off of Scioli. And Jake Nichols 4 seconds back, so a little bit of work left for them to do. A bit of a battle kicking off back here as well behind Ed Scherer Jr. There's Connor Horn, Michael Curhan, and more, and a little bit of a battle back there.
Yeah, still quite a few battles going on in behind. Now everyone's starting to catch up, and I think we're really seeing now everyone that pit at different points, they're starting to catch back up to one another and exchange blows. Connor Horn, you mentioned, trying to get his way on through to Michael Curran as they're fighting tooth and nail, and you got Hearn in behind as well in this fight. A couple lap cars in the mix as well.
Here you see the sign in the back there for Michael Curran in the 24 mentioned. He's been on a hot streak with top 5 finishes here and there, and there's Kyle Heyer with the sign in the back.
Did he know that this was the first night that I would have this? I don't know that he did, but it worked out. Broadcast team's on camera. At least I am for now. We'll use that more as we get throughout the rest of the season, but test driving some new things, a lot of backdrop and stuff coming soon as well. So all exciting things as Curhan loses a spot to Ryan Hartz here, who drives around the outside, Finian.
He's going to try to drive around the outside and get himself in a spot. He's currently back 29th a lap down, so he's just trying to work his way through the order. He's got one of the fresh tires out of anyone in his group. And you can see him make work of it as he's now around the 3 of Ryan Hartz, getting close to that wall, but we'll get on through. As he's working his way onto the top of the order, trying to look at some other drivers in some close battles. One of the main ones here, Ray Slate, Vincent Cortez a little bit further back. As they're in a side-by-side battle, we saw Ray Slate get very irritated with some of the drivers early on. Vincent Cortez has been jumping up and down the order. He was one of the later guys to pit, so he's got some fresh rubber underneath him.
Got a lot of ground to make up, though, at 13 seconds between himself and the race leader, James Scioli, but steady progress as he passed the 8 of Slate for 14th. And now a little further up the road, it's the 17 of Scherer Jr. holding on to that 5th spot, trying to make it 4th, going on the inside of Springer. And just in front of them is Kwame Scott, one of the last guys to come down pit road, trying to stretch it all the way on the field from here on out.
Yeah, I don't know how much I love that strategy, again, because he has to save so aggressively in the second half of the race. But here comes Scherer around the 51 to the outside, and he will complete that pass and make that look actually pretty easy.
He's going to make it look easy and get that spot back, and up he will go to try to claim another driver by looking at Ricky Springer here, trying to see if he can get that spot back, but also got to keep an eye on his mirror as Connor Horn, Michael Curran, Ryan Hartz and company are coming in a hurry, and also coming into the booth. He's Eric Weiland. Eric, what you got?
You mentioned Ricky Springer. Yeah, you mentioned Ricky Springer. He is hot, Ian. I'm not playing that radio. He is what a save there for the 51. He is very upset at lappers. I don't think he's aware that the 99 who just passed him a couple laps ago, who kind of held him up and dumped dirty air all over the front of him, is actually on a different strategy. You get a look in sim there with Ricky Springer in the VR that he's wearing. His girlfriend in the background giving him her support. But Ricky not happy on the radio. Cameron Hearn also had some words about his strategy and not being excited about. Listen in.
Where are you at, like, Cam, in the strategy you're on?
I pitted early. I'm tired.
So the guys that stopped early in the two-stop cycle, like Cameron Hearn and David Weishart, if they took care of their tires, they're set. But Hearn is falling backward right now. He's 10th, and Weishart, I think did he make his second stop? I don't even see him on my timing right now. I'm having a hard time.
Where did Weishart end up? Yeah, he did make his second stop just last lap. So good catch there. Look at Curhan and Horn still side by side. These two were in a battle a couple of laps ago, but they are going to reignite that here in a battle for 6th. Horn on the outside, Curhan on the inside.
Yeah, I don't think this battle's going to end anytime soon here as Connor gets to run off the corner, trying to see if he can just edge ahead and clear the 24 and lead he will. Ryan Hart's now going to take advantage of the situation, put his car up against that outside and try to rip it around. And he will just barely get clear of the 24 Curran. Actually, not quite. Curran's got just about a fender to the inside of that 3.
Position 6 through 9 all up for grabs there with Horn, Hartz, Curran, and Garrett Grant. As there you see Dom DeLeo, lap car, working his way back through with the fresher tires. But for the meantime, Horn's going to hold on to 6th, as it's going to be interesting because Curran and DeLeo are teammates, and see how the 22 gets his way around. Trying to go through the middle there, Kyle.
Yeah, it's getting pretty interesting and spicy as they leave turn 4 here. Just keeping my eye on the laps remaining, guys. We're coming up on 50 laps to go, and that will go by in about 25 minutes, so that's going to be fairly quickly. Cameron Hearn's going to peel off. He heads to pit lane in the number 4 car. I'd expect a lot more drivers to be making their final stop basically any time now, Finian.
Yeah, went around 44 laps on his previous stint, so came in just a little bit early here for the final run to the end. He should be good to go. 50 lap stint for him to the end. He's going to have one of the oldest running tires in the field, though, so that's going to be interesting to see how he can manage it, because we've been green all 90 of these first few laps, and they've got 50 to go. Still have a chance of a caution, mind you, and that can change a whole lot of stuff for these guys.
Oh, 100%. It'll just, especially for those that pitted late and are relying on this race to go to go green to the end, where fuel is the only necessity there rather than the tire wear. Like Kwame Scott, there's no caution that comes out now. It's not going to help him at all because he's going to have to stay out to get that track position back and then hope for another yellow, or just fight the bullet coming down pit road. But yellow would change a lot of things here, Kyle.
Yeah, it would. Look at Ryan Hartz. That was very interesting there for a moment. And they managed to sort that out, but that almost got ugly.
Did for a second and managed to sort themselves out, but as we've seen, they've been able to sort themselves out and recover, but at some point I gotta imagine these guys are gonna run out of luck. You're gonna see someone go sideways enough to bring out a yellow. Just quite hasn't happened yet.
They got close there. I'll say. 42 of Horn, but a little right behind him, you got the 5 and the 24 going at it for 8th and 9th on the racetrack. Ryan Hartz with a massive run underneath the 42, going to be side by side for 6th heading into 3.
Yeah, Connor Horn's been ripping the high lane basically the whole time here, or I guess a lane off the bottom, which everything I've heard about this new dynamic track adjustment told me that it seems like that kind of lane off the bottom could sometimes be the fast line. I don't know if Connor is searching there because he feels like that's where he's best, or if he just would like the bottom or the top but can't commit to either. But right now, Connor's holding serve pretty well, but look at the run that he gets on the back straightaway.
I think that middle to out 10 lane is probably going to be one of the better places he can run. It's been working for him. Every time I've seen him up there, it's been the lane that works for him the best. But we got Eric Wyman back with us from pit lane. Eric, what do you got for us?
Ryan Hartz just watched really badly in Connor Horn's dirty air. When he wasn't in the dirty air, he sounded pretty happy. Listen in on the radio.
You can't pass, dude. It's so tight. Oh, I'm cooking.
The cooking deal was when he actually built that run to the outside and then cut to the inside of the 42. Unfortunately, it's not going to pan out for him. Now he's getting freight trained on the top. Garrett Grant and Michael Curhan is working his way into this battle as well. We're going to go 3 wide.
Oh, is that going to work? Horns in the fence are almost into it. The 3 and the 5 get together and almost tangle, but they manage to escape that, at least the 3-wide portion of it successfully. Now double wide, 2x2 into turn 1.
Yeah, really close quarters battles. You guys literally playing with inches. Garrett was just able to get clear of the 42, but they're both on by. Connor Horn back to 9th as he goes back to 8th, trying to work around the 24th Curran, who is trying to not be the one that loses out in the situation. He's continue to fight hard on that bottom lane.
Yeah, great battles here inside the top 10. Guys trying to shuffle their way closer towards that top 5. And speaking of shuffling, the Honda Bell's going to shuffle on the pit road, Eric.
Radio from Connor Horn as you guys were watching him battle there.
There's no grip in the very top out of 4.
No, there's not.
That's not enough. I'm still going to hold up Curran as long as I can.
Fortunately, it doesn't look like he held up Curran very long, guys.
No, Curhan's through. The 5 and the 3 are very tight together out of turn 4. But laps are clicking away at a pretty fervent pace here. So when does the intensity ramp up? Again, we had the first 40 laps, did 3 and 4 wide seemingly the entire time. But now you're not going to give. You've been taken all night and maybe given here and there, but the give time is over in these last 40 laps. But you still have to, at least the majority of the field has to make that final pit stop. So your hope is that whenever you pit, you come out ahead of those you were battling here prior to the sequence.
Yeah, the thing is, I just don't think, like, for Kwame Scott, he gave up a lot of time trying to save fuel, and I think it was to the point where it was just too much that he had to give up. Again, time will tell. We'll find out in about 40 laps time if the strategy call was worth it, but honestly, I'm thinking less and less so. I see him there running back in 21st, waiting for everyone to come down to pit lane.
Yeah, the 4th car a lap down, and Shackelford and Jeremy Miller are on the pit road, but at this point, you have to just commit to the strategy, and even if you run out of fuel, then, well, at least you gave it your all in that strategy, but that's the route that he chose, and he's going to have to stick to that if he wants to salvage a good finish, rather than pit and just throw that strategy out the window from the start of the race.
Michael Curhan is really fighting for screen time tonight. He's been side by side more than pretty much anybody else the last 15, 20 laps. Other drivers hitting pit lane and leaving it. Skylar Shackelford is on and off. Jeremy Miller is on and off. And James Scioli has hit pit lane. The race leader is coming on down, Finian.
Coming on down, quite a few drivers coming on down. Not surprised, because it gives them a nice solid 40-lap stint to the end where they can utilize the fresh rubber to their advantage. Again, big question to see, where's the 99 going to come out into relation to all the rest of these drivers? See the 56, Jake Matheson still out of the track. Imagine he's going to be coming pretty soon here in the 56. He will not. He'll continue on. Michael Curran, I heard him on the radio. He's coming down to pit lane.
I'd say Matheson might stretch it a couple more laps here just to try and overcut the 7 or undercut with one of those ways. So trying to get a way around the 7 on the track. And there you see Curran down pit road with that sign and the fantasy football trophy in the background.
He will pull in for his last stop of the night, nails the parking there in the pit lane, back up to what is now cycled to 4th. Connor Horn, Vincent Cortez. Matheson and Nichols continue to lead this race. Sub 40 laps to go. Ricky Springer's on pit lane. Here comes Connor Horn, slowing down. Bit of a lockup there onto pit lane. Blake Hopp is also on pit road. And I think that is it that time around. Just keep an eye on Kwame Scott. He's going to end up in the lead, but for how long is the question?
Really is the true question. How long is it going to be? Because he's effectively running to the end of this race, or he's going to try to make it to the end of the race. I wonder if he's even saving at all.
Cool. There's Bondurant coming down pit road.
Ooh, I just saw, sorry, I just to cut you off there, Hunter. Travis Beckner just had a big moment off turn 2, almost brought out the yellow. It was pretty sideways.
Where is Beckner?
He is currently in 23rd.
Wow.
Yeah, he's not having the best of nights.
No, that's all I'll say. Here's what, well, just caught the tail end of it here. Here's what happened out of 2. On the inside of Garrett Grant, it just got on the apron and had a big slip and slide moment, but was able to gather it back up.
Yeah, probably also part of the reason he's down that low, he did come to pit lane, so he should be a little bit higher up once this all cycles out.
Speaking of higher up is Eric Weiland on the totem pole. What's he got for us?
I'm higher up on the totem pole. I'll take that.
In Discord, at least.
I wasn't the pole sitter for making picks tonight though, and that's a little odd. I've had really good track position the last couple weeks. Travis Beckner just made a pit stop and just turned the fastest lap on the racetrack if anyone's still out there. So
interesting. Okay, we just saw him dead sideways out of turn 2. Whoa, Curran sideways as well.
29.95 was the fastest lap on the racetrack by anyone that last lap. Though, with that pit stop and where he's at right now, he still trails James Scioli by just under 10 seconds. So an uncharacteristic night. I would agree with you guys for the 28 car. Meanwhile, I wanted to follow up. Jake Nichols also coming down pit road this time by. Tyler Nichols did just talk to Solar Flare. Thinks he can make it. So he said he's not going to win the race, obviously. He's not too far from getting passed by James Scioli anyway. But might get some better finishing position for the 41 after the incident through the AstroTurf on the front straightaway. Hoping for good things there because Solar Flare only has 2 cars in the race tonight, and they are trying to keep up in the team championship.
So, Kwame Scott on that one-stop strategy, he is now would cycle to currently be 4th. Yeah. So this strategy hasn't worked out in any capacity as far as winning the race. Could he maybe finish better than his running position prior to the first pit stop? Maybe. But I didn't see that as a winning strategy, and I still don't.
I don't actually think so, Kyle, because before pit stops, I think we documented Kwame was like plus 20 positions. He had worked his way up almost into the top 10. So just unfortunately, I think the wrong strategy call tonight.
Yeah, I think so.
I think the best thing for him is probably to just stay out there, try to stay in the lead lap, just hope and pray for a caution.
Could happen. Look at this. Travis Beckner, Matthew Bell. This is getting spicy here out of turn 4. All these cars have made their final pit stop of the night. I think Casey Lakatos, Dom DeLeo, Tyler Nichols, Nathan Jump, Vincent Cortez, and obviously Kwame Scott are those that only have one stop on their list so far. And most of those drivers are going to owe us one before the end as well. Here's David Weishart, and that's Kwame Scott in the 99.
And around they will go, and it's a big train of cars in behind the 99, so it's a 33 and the 3 that'll get on through. Spencer Burns, Springer, Grant Bell, Beckner all in line as Burns taps the wall a little bit off of turn 4. Here comes Ryan Hart's going to take immediate advantage, go to the inside of Weishart, and so goes Spencer Burns to the inside.
Now Springer will follow suit. He'll go to the inside of Weishart. Grant's going to be in the tough spot coming out of turn 2. Actually going to have enough room to make the move to the inside of 33. And Springer going to look beneath the 06 of Burns in turn 3.
On board with Springer here as we enter the front straightaway. Completely immersed in the VR world.
He looks focused. You can see the little head movement is completely focused on what's ahead of him. Trying to make his way on through, and the driver ahead of him is that 3 Ryan Hart, so I'm sure he's just staring at getting in the zone. A little over 30 laps to go for him to try to see if he can get not only into 6, see if he can maybe break up inside the top 5.
And going to try and do that as coming down pit road, Nathan Jump.
So he's going to make his last stop of the night. That will turn the lead back over to James Scioli with 30 laps to go. Jake Matheson is 4.7 back. Now, I think we'll be looking at this later and wondering, how did Jake Matheson end up here? Finian, after the first stop, he was less than a second behind. So the pace over the run and then just not maybe being as efficient onto pit lane as Scioli has lost him quite a bit of ground.
I lost him quite a bit of ground here. Looking at 51 of Ricky Springer working to the inside, trying to attack Ryan Hart, see if he can get that spot. Struck while the iron's hot. Woo, and as the iron is lagging out, as he says, the number 3 of Ryan Hart's going to roll around that outside. The outside lane's been pretty strong and hard to beat, especially once these guys hit single file.
You see 5th through 10th there, actually, all in one shot. And then right behind these guys, you got Connor Horn running 14th, and Ed Shearer Jr. 15th, all trying to close in on the top 10.
Shearer Jr., Travis Beckner, and Jake Nichols back here. We documented how did Jake Nichols end up back here in 11th? Trying to figure that out. He's going to gain a few spots on the cycle, but not as many as we would have thought, right?
I think he stayed out a couple laps. Everyone else ahead of him came in about...
Oh, much fresher tire. You're right. Yep, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I was just trying to figure out where the math ain't mathin'.
Yeah, I was going to say the math is yet to work itself out, I guess, if anything. The math is pending. But he's got quite a few cars to get past, though. It's going to be a tough battle for him because the lap's starting to wind down under 30 laps to go, and the passing's gotten a little bit tougher. Not a whole lot tougher, but a bit tougher. This is the opening laps.
We're going to open it back up to pit road with Eric Wyland for another update.
Hey, so just to cap off the Jake Nichols discussion.
I almost just saw a wreck.
Oh, man, that was close out of 4 between Hartz and Perhan and a few others there, Eric. But carry on and continue. What you have?
Well, you see Jake's brother, TK, hanging on there with that strategy. He was a forefront centerpiece of that incident there. Ooh, that contact was big. It's lucky it did not spark an incident. So Jake Nichols obviously decided to stay out, or excuse me, pit early. He tried to undercut Jake Matheson. I don't think he got through pit road as well as he probably wanted. The other thing to note, I don't know if you guys documented it, Jake Matheson's stop time was only 10 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
So he's on 2 tires out here in the 56, so he closed the gap a lot. Jake Nichols in the 73 was about 6 to 8 seconds adrift from Scioli for the pit sequence. He's come out now 10 seconds adrift, so he probably wasn't the best through pit road, but still solid nonetheless. Just a different strategy call for that 56. We'll see how this one plays out up there in the Miller Racing car for Jake Matheson.
Yeah, I mean, I always like when you got, fairly long laps, and especially ones that you got quite a bit of banking and things to lean on. I always like this overcut strategy because you've got time to make back, right? There are some tracks that are just not long enough where if you pit late, you run out of laps before the end of the race. This is not one of those places. So Jake, while I was concerned where he popped out earlier, I think he's going to end up netting out positive here in the closing laps of this race. He's still got some work to do, yes, but most of the cars that he's chasing down are literally directly ahead of him, only a couple tenths of a second.
Taking a look a little bit further up the order, there's Michael Curran in hot pursuit of Ryan Hartz in the number 3. And Hartz looks like he might be starting to fall off. He got passed by Ricky Springer, then Garrett Grant. Now Michael Curran is on the attack as well. Jake Nichols sitting right in behind in 7th.
While all that's going on, bouncing like a beach ball back and forth between pit road and the booth is Eric Wyland with another update.
I love the Christmas shirt. And also, fair is fair. Time for the broadcast team to be on camera. We're getting there.
What do you mean?
Getting there. Oh, Kyle's got the setup. Let's go. I didn't even get myself in the Zoom call tonight.
I was going to say, I got all this new stuff, which was I was so stressed out that I was having problems tonight. But just in case anyone is curious, this backdrop is going to be wood, and then we'll have 3D printed logos and some downlights. It's going to be rad. So by January 1, we'll be in good shape.
I got to start finding some dress shirts for these broadcasts. No, I wanted to clean up. Jake Matheson planned 2-tire call for the 56. Did not get the recording of it, but quote, "This thing is a dump truck. I had to do something to make it turn." So the 56, 2-tire call, right sides, planned, trying to make it looser. And he was faster and still is faster than James Scioli right now. He's 0.3 faster that last lap. Now down inside of 3 seconds, 2.7 seconds between the 7 and the 56.
That checks out because, earlier in this race, we were talking about how everyone seemed, the car seemed very stable, and stability comes at the expense of understeer and being tight. And so with that, if you can somehow get the car to drive loose, you're going to gain a lot of speed. With that comes some risk as well. But when you do it with tires versus setup, I think that balance feels a lot more natural. And Jake's making really good time right now.
It's only going to get tighter, Kyle. We're at 7:46 in Sin local time here at Charlotte, and the sun is very quickly going away. The lights will flip on here soon, and when they do, it's like the track changes state. It gets even tighter as the track cools off.
Nichols trying to make quick work of Ricky Springer on the inside, 3 wide for a second as they get past Ed Robertson. Nichols finally clear and up inside the top 3. The math has finally mathed itself out.
Yeah. Just needed to check in with him a couple laps later, that's all.
What did you say? Math is sun out. Get it?
Time for a
he's
break,
closing
everybody.
in there.
I was going to say, his math is also still pending because he's now under 2 seconds. He's really making some fantastic work here. This might be the call that wins him the race here. He's catching at a really quick rate. Around 3 to 4 tenths of a second every single lap.
You know what's quick, Finian?
What's that?
The shipping you get from area.
Nice. Good transition. Area.shop. Let's do it. Race fans, fall is here, and before you know it, so will winter. Bundle up this season with shop.areaiRacing.com and shop from our selections of champion hoodies, jackets, and sweatshirts. Easier to shop, quicker to ship, better to wear. That's shop.areaiRacing.com. 'Tis the season, huh?
This is the season.
I have not done my Christmas shopping yet, guys.
I haven't either. It's a week.
Oh, no. I'm already done mine.
Well, you know, my Corolla's out of commission right now, and I am trapped in my house. That's my excuse.
Well, just take the gift card route.
Yeah. The easy way.
Coming on board Skylar Shackelford. He's got Douglas Newbegin just up the road. This is a battle for 17th. And conveniently, 17 laps to go.
He's actually had a really good race. We haven't really talked a whole lot about that 17 car, but up inside the top 5, legitimately, he's one of the better runs he's had all season long. Skylar Shackelford, not as much as he's dropped back to 18th, potentially 19th. The Cedric Hunter, he's trying to make way of him and have a fight.
Oh, wow. Took the line away, the 88 did. Moved up the racetrack in front of Cedric. Cedric's going to try to cross him over here and split the difference with the 41. That's very tight.
Whoa.
Hello.
You no longer go for a gap. Up the inside, he made it work.
Sure did. How about for 4th? Scherer Jr. and Ricky Springer.
Yeah, Shearer's on the climb, actually, because Garrett Grant held that 5th spot, and he lost that to Scherer, and Scherer now trying to take 4th away, and just like that, 1 spot shy of knocking on the podium, but not for long. Springer's still giving a fight on the outside. Meanwhile, Grant can only watch from afar 4 car lengths back from this battle. Whoa, they're touch! Oh my goodness, they touched
Easy, boys.
Turn 4. Yeah, getting close to the end of this race. We have yet to see a caution, so any late race yellows would change the dynamic of this finish quite a bit, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, a yellow would totally upset the apple cart here. We've been clean and green this entire race. This is not something I expected tonight to go flag to flag green at Charlotte. And I think tomorrow in the truck race, we might see something very similar. And ditto for Thursday as well. This could be a very green week of racing, and that adjusts your strategy when you come into the night kind of expecting it to go that way versus what we had at Milwaukee a couple of weeks ago. We've had a grand total of 0 cautions the last 2 weeks because last week we couldn't have cautions. So Charlotte, bring in the green.
Really count.
Well, doesn't my heart. Garrett Grant all over the back of Ricky Springer. These two have had a couple of call them run-ins tonight?
Yeah, I would say so. Might have another one here before the night's over, as they're going to be battling it side by side, and now you're going to see guys get maybe a little bit more aggressive than they were before, because now is where the positions really start to count, especially if you're like Ricky Springer. You find yourself on the back foot, and he's starting to drop down the orders. He's trying to defend! Going to hit the left rear quarter panel of the 5. They keep their way on straight, but ooh, that got close there for a second.
And speaking of aggressive, the 5 of Garrett Grant just checked. He's 34th in the point standings right now. His best finish of the season came from Dover with a 19th place finish. So he's fighting for all the points that he can, running 34th in the point standings. And speaking of point standings, down near the drivers in the point standings, Eric Weiland, what you got for us?
You could have said I was at the bottom of the point standings, Hunter. That's okay. I'm not having a good season in the Trucks or Xfinity series. No, I'm watching. You guys see it. The gap is almost entirely evaporated between the front two. Jake Matheson has gotten himself inside of 1 second now to James Scioli, and he's passing in one more lapper here, and then the 7 car is the next one up the road from the 56. I also tuned into David Weishart Racing. I'm not going to play any of the audio back on the broadcast. There were some choice words in there. Obviously upset is David Weishart about the whole dynamic track not working and tire model being broken. It is the summation of what he was upset about. Spencer Burns, though, I don't know if you guys do this when you race. Spencer is listening to some music. He actually has, who did I see he had on? Travis Scott earlier is what Spencer was listening to. He said it's helping him keep him in focus, and rightfully so. He's having one of his best runs of the season here in the Area Cup Series.
Jake Matheson, guys, has run Scioli down. It's 0.3 of a second. Is the two-tire call the key to victory here? He's going to have 8 laps to pass Scioli, so things are about to get spicy here.
Is there to try to get spicy, and what a fantastic time to have that under 10 laps to go for these drivers. It is on. Matheson now trying to do whatever he can. He's got arguably the better tires, because with that strategic call in pit lane to just take 2, to get this car to rotate better, and it's starting to pay off here. He's at least closed the gap, but we always say it almost every single race. Catching is one thing, passing is another.
And the lap times are almost evening out for the front two, as well. As there he is holding on to the headrest there in his sim setup, as the gap is between 4 car lengths, now trying to make it to 3 car lengths. 31.1 that time for Scioli, 31.06 for the 56 of Matheson. But we're getting down to the closing stages, Kyle, and just like last week, it's going to be down to the 7 of Scioli and the 56 of Matheson.
Yeah, it came down to some really interesting fights between those two last week. Matheson had the lead for all but a half a lap. Oh, he's really close to the wall out of 4. His advantage still exists, Finian, but it's smaller and smaller every lap, as you'd expect. The tires evening out. But look at him trying the high lane now, changing up the line to try to find some more grip.
I mean, he's got to start experimenting at some point. Question is, will Scioli start experimenting? I mean, I don't even know if he can. I think at this point he probably might just have to keep on the bottom, because I think as soon as he leaves that lane, Matheson's going to be on him.
Yeah, interesting to find different grooves around the racetrack. It's down to 2 car lengths there coming off turn 4. 5 more laps to go from Charlotte. Can Scioli hold off the charging 56 of Matheson with the strategy call of 2 tires to get himself all the way from 5 seconds back for the leader to just 2 car lengths?
And I'll tell you what, that high lane worked for him. He gained another 10th last lap, and he's gaining even more. He's found a line that works. Is Scioli going to try to take it away from him? Now he's going to go to the bottom in 3 and 4. Keep him guessing out front. Never let him guess your next move here. 4 laps to go when lap traffic up the road.
Lap traffic might definitely come into effect. Scioli's been enjoying the cleaner air to kind of keep up his defense with the 56, but now he's got not one, but just 2 cars battling for position ahead of him. That's going to be quite a big wall of dirty air, as they're going to be stuck on the bottom. This could be exactly what Matheson needs here.
Yeah, big run off.
Oh, here comes. Huge run.
David Weishart up the road, and here comes the 56 of Matheson looking for the lead. Heading into turn 3, side by side, but the run on the outside for the 7.
For the top spot, Matheson's tight out of 4, tags the 7, puts Scioli in the fence. They're banging doors out of turn 4. 3 laps to go from Charlotte.
I think Matheson knows this is his one and only shot. Now that he's side by side, the 33 wides are going to try to get out of the way. They go 3 wide with the lap car. Scioli going to try to gas it up hard on the outside.
Scioli holding on to all he's got. Matheson closing on that quarter panel, trying to keep the side draft going. Inside line advantage for the 56 into turn 3, and he's going to clear the 7 of Scioli, slide up on the racetrack. 7 looking for the crossover, coming off 4, side by side with 2 to go. Scioli looking for that lead.
2 laps to go, crossover from Scioli. Now Matheson's got the upper hand for the tie side in 1 and 2, but Scioli's got the power position on the bottom right now. He can push the 56 up if he needs, but now look at the run Matheson's going to get. This is going to do it, Finian.
This may do it right here. There he goes, 56 up into the lead. There is still one more lap car just up ahead, and Scioli, I'm sure he's not going to let this go away.
Scioli's going to have one more lap to try and find a way around the 56 as Matheson's off turn 4. No cautions all race long. We're going to get the white flag, and we're going to get a finish here, Kyle.
1 lap to go here from Charlotte. Jake Matheson on a risky 2-tire strategy to change the balance of the race car. Use the outside lane in the closing laps to find an advantage over Scioli, but James is trying to come back. A big run down the back straightaway. The final lap here in the Area Cup Series from Charlotte. Scioli's going to drop to the bottom here. Throw it into turn 3. Use the bumper up the racetrack. Matheson jams the brakes through turns 3 and 4. Here they come, side by side. Checkered flag. Jake Matheson's going to hang on by just over a car length over James Scioli. What a battle between those two, 56 thousandths of a second. How about that?
That's what you call a race right there. Good old-fashioned beating and banging, and great battle over the last 10 laps. Matheson clawing his way to victory. You cannot argue that that was not well earned for that 56.
Wow. Jake Matheson let one slip away from him last week on the Charlotte Roll. He was not going to let the 7 beat him in back-to-back weeks. He instead made the pass with 2 to go. And the 7 of Scioli, he had the opportunity to send it in there into turn 3 with a Louisiana dive bomb. He could have just beat the bumper off the 56 even more. but only did it just enough to where he could find a room on the inside, but the 56 instead shut the door and was able to hold on for the win.
How about this, guys? The last lap, last corners. Skyoli chucked it down in here into 3, hit the 56. Matheson slams the brakes in the middle of 3 and 4. James tried to cross him over. I thought he'd build a run here, but Matheson covered it off well. And that was your margin of victory. That was fantastic. And Matheson did not do burnouts there, but I'll bet you he is worn out.
I was going to say, that's the amazing thing about this finish. We had almost a photo finish after 140 green flag laps continuously here at Charlotte, from green to checkered. No cautions to break up anything to get these guys back. That was all authentic racing. Some fantastic stuff from these guys.
Yeah, certainly. Let's have a look at your race results here. This is just unbelievable. Matheson, Skyoli, Nichols, Edward Scherer Jr., Garrett Grant, your top 5. Then it's Hart, Springer, Curhan, Horn, and Vincent Cortez. But the talk of the town is those front runners. How close that battle was there at the end, Finney, and you bring up a great point. Just completely green flag racing, and to end like that is a special treat. You don't get that very much. That was unbelievable.
Really great stuff there as you look at the top 10. And also, one thing I wanted to point out there too is that we haven't had a green flag, completely green race since Nashville at season finale in season 3.
Wow. Have a look at that.
Is that across all series?
At least for the Cup Series. Can't say about
Cup Series, okay.
Yeah. Can't say about Pro and Truck.
It's a very stark contrast from what we had at Phoenix earlier this year.
Yeah, well, we have some audio from the checkered flag moment here from Jake Matheson, and here is that just from a moment ago.
Got it.
Good deal.
Good job. Hell yeah, Jake.
Good rush, Jake.
Bang, let's
win.
go. Thank you,
That
thank
was
you.
a tough one. Strategy had to win that one.
Kyle, you'll get a chance to talk to Jake Matheson here in a moment. He told me drenched in sweat after that finish.
I figured he didn't do any burnouts. I think that was just, I'm worn out trying to run him down. But it came down to the strategy call there to loosen up the race car. I think that was the most intriguing thing to me, was how creative he got in order to find some sort of advantage. So let's talk with our top 3, and the first of which is going to be Jake Nichols in the number 73, who brings his car home in 3rd place. Jake, tonight, a really good night for you, a top 5 run. Maybe not part of the intense action there on that final lap, but take us through your trailing part of the race there and trying to get back to 3rd, running through the field on fresher tires.
I knew I could try to get there. I just needed to take care of the tires. The first run, I didn't do a great job of saving them. I wanted to save it first, but I kept getting just held up or getting shoved to the top or put 3 wide. So at some point I just said I gave up on that and just went for it and tried to get to 2nd as quick as possible to just get track position. And I mean, it worked at the end of the day. A podium's nothing to complain about. We were at a big disadvantage with the team scenario this week, with Seth not being here and being denied a sub opportunity, which it happens. It's disappointing. But I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. But we'll look forward to next few weeks. Just try to get to the playoffs pretty much and stay in distance of Miller Racing in the battle. And if we can't get them, they have a strong lineup, then we'll do our best to hold on for 2nd place in the team points. But either way, a good night for the 73 overall. We'll take it. Those 2 ran a great pace up there, so they deserved it either way. And it looked like they had a decent battle for a second. I couldn't tell. They're like ants to me, but either way, it was a good night for us.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch, Jake. You should go back and watch that finish. It was a lot of fun. P3 for the 73 Solar Flare Racing Chevy. We'll see you next time, Jake. Enjoy your couple of weeks of relaxing.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you guys.
Yeah. We'll see you after the holidays, Jake. Thanks so much.
See you.
And James Skyoli brings it home in 2nd place in the number 7, and I know that's got to be a disappointing result because you led so many laps tonight, but how about that battle there at the end? That was fun to watch. James, I know you wish it would have been the other way, but stoked or hoping you could do that again?
It was a good run. There's not too much to be mad about. J-Math, I guess, took 2 there on that last run, so just kind of gambled. It paid off and worked. I think that on 4 on the long run, I was kind of untouchable. So just a smart call by him to make a move like that and see if it would have paid off, and it did. He came with a huge run. I kind of got behind a couple lap cars there and just couldn't break the bubble. I had been in clean air most of the race, and then they were going pretty much the same speed I was, so it was just tough to get in, run my line. He threw a pretty good slider. I probably should have tried to drive it in a little bit harder, but I was figuring that I might be able to get him on the crossover and couldn't clear him, and then had a killer run down the backstretch, just kind of ran the middle, and just figured that I'd go for a little bit of a bump and run. Didn't want to wreck him or anything, just wanted to move him up out of the groove and see if we could race back to the line, which is exactly what we did. So it was, clean all around. Definitely hurts to lead that many laps and get beat like that, but I would have never even thought to take 2, so not much I can do there.
Yeah, all fair play around. Tell me about the surface changes. I know there was a oval refresh part 1. It seemed to me, just watching those last couple laps, that it's done something. Not exactly sure what. What could you feel from behind the wheel?
I don't know. It didn't feel too much different for me, but I also wasn't back in the traffic, so I couldn't really tell. Charlotte's always been, you can kind of get the outside working a little bit if you cut down on exit, so I couldn't tell if that was just a product of the update or what. But it was also tough to tell because this setup we were shifting, so just kind of an odd setup, really tight and shifting. So I think that we'll get a better tell tomorrow and Thursday of how the update really is. But some promising highlights there, being able to run the top like I did in 1 and 2 on the last lap and try and make a run. So maybe we got a little bit of something to work with.
Good stuff, James. Congratulations. A solid run there. Second place just by 56 thousandths. Enjoy the holidays, and we'll see you after for round 8.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Want to give a huge shout out to Lucky Ducks Motorsports. Think we gained some points, so it's been a tight points battle at the front, so hopefully we can keep the momentum going. Huge shout out to Simrap Market, No Kid Hungry, and Roasted Gems Coffee for being on the car, and hopefully we're talking to you guys one spot better tomorrow.
All right, James. We'll see you tomorrow. Congrats.
Thanks, guys.
And Jake Matheson brings it home in victory lane. Holy cow. That was so much fun to watch. I think for us, we had a lot of fun watching you, but take us through those last couple of laps between you and James. The 2-tire strategy call to loosen up the car and gain some turn definitely helped you out, but also those surface changes the surface changes iRacing has made, you think that also might have contributed for your ability to use a different line to get around them?
I feel like the 2-tire strategy being an absolute Hail Mary call. I mean, just me and my team owner were just talking it over. We're just like, all right, we're just going to try it, see what happens. And it freed the car up and never lost any speed, so that was fun. Definitely able to use more of 1 and 2. I feel like 3 and 4, you were kind of locked down still on the bottom. But 1 and 2, you were able to go middle or top when the guy in front of you was on the bottom, and it gripped up, so it definitely helps. It's always fun racing here at Charlotte. It's always been pretty multi-grooved for what we've had, so real fun night tonight.
Yeah, and take me back to that last lap battle there, because we watched Skyly go off into turn 3, determined to get to the rear bumper. He did, got into you a little bit, and then we saw that your car slow up just a bit. That's got to be such a challenging thing to do without turning yourself off his front bumper. Take me through that last 15 seconds and what you had to do to keep that lead.
Well, me and James were talking about it up in the staging, and the cars are so tight, if you hit someone on the left rear or square, it's just going to push him straight. So all I had to do was really drag the brake, and it kind of nullified what he did. But he was trying what he had to do to win the race. I was doing what I had to do to win the race. It's going to be a little contact, but we still got 1-2. Always fun racing with him, especially last week. So the respect continues, and hopefully it produces more fun races.
Well, it was so much fun to watch, Jake. Congratulations. Green flag from flag to flag, and a checkers there at the end by 56,000. Thanks so much for talking to us. Enjoy the holidays, and we'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, thank you. Just real quick, I want to thank Calusa Pines, Celsius, Area Shop, Alien Gear, Huckett Films, and Miller Racing for all they do. And keep giving me these fast race cars, and we'll keep going good.
All right, Jake. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time. Enjoy the holidays.
See you guys.
All right, guys. Wow. That was an awesome way to finish off the night here. Certainly a race to remember as far as the tail end of the race went, but we saw a lot happen throughout the race, a lot of comers and goers and a lot of interesting things. Do we learn anything grand about this new surface, Finian, or is it just the drivers tonight and the track that led to us getting the result that we did?
I think, if anything, it's definitely a combination of all these factors. You need to have some great drivers that are able to duke it out, some cars that they're able to work with, a track that's able to produce this kind of racing. But I definitely think, if anything, the refresh is definitely helping. We saw a bunch of guys trying different lines all night long, and while the passing was maybe a bit tough at times. It definitely wasn't impossible when we saw guys able to change things up to make it work. So definitely some great action from these guys all night long. One of the best races I've seen here in area, honestly.
Yeah, from start to finish, I mean, we went 4 wide and somehow didn't wreck after that. And Finian, you said it there. If they didn't wreck going 4 wide, I don't think they'll wreck at all. And they were close, but that was the closest and scariest part of the race, going sending it 4 wide into turn 3 in the early stages. And they made it work, and just like that, they were able to go under 40 laps, green to checkered. And we had a great finish there at the very end. Again, with the 7-56, 2 straight weeks where they duke it out for the win, Eric.
Yeah, I was prepared with the headline. I had the December Dominance by James Scioli ready to go. But that's got to be the strategy call of the season across all the area series. What a call by Jake Matheson and Miller Racing to take 2 tires, get that car to turn. To touch on Kyle's point, maybe we see, a little more wider racing grooves, but I think tonight helps cement that there are still some issues that they need and will be working on the oval side of things here on iRacing. That tire model is probably high up on a lot of people's lists. I know it's high up on David Weishart's list, who struggled tonight, Kyle, but we get to see 2 different series go at it here on the oval yet this week. I'm excited for tomorrow.
Area Truck Series tomorrow night, right back here at Charlotte. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow on Sim TV.